So chapter 1 is all about the basic principles that govern all things economics. So always our first slide is going to go over some basic questions. And I wouldn't waste the time writing these down there in your textbook. Economics is all about asking questions and answering those. What kinds of questions does economics ask and answer? There are principles that govern how we make guesses about how people are going to make their decisions. There are principles that govern how people interact with one another, and there are principles of how the economy as a whole works. Okay? You are going to hear one term over and over and over again, and it is scarcity. Okay? Scarcity says that resources are limited. Resources are limited. Name some resources for me.
Oil.
Oil.
I'd say oil.
Okay. Oil is limited by how many dead dinosaur carcasses there are encased in the earth somewhere, right? Okay.
Water.
Water. Water's limited? The earth is covered in it. I'm made of 80% of it. 80% of me is made of it.
Drinking water.
Oh. Do you want to be more specific, Sarai?
Safe drinking water.
Safe. Clean drinking water is certainly limited. Okay. What else?
Money.
Money is not a resource. Money is a tool. You guys all own a resource, and you all have access to one. No matter who you are, you all own one and you have access to another. Technology is a resource. It is also a tool. What were you saying, Sophie?
I was going to say like labor.
Labor is a resource, and it is the resource that every one of you possesses. How many of you are aware that you can sell your labor for profit?
Yeah.
How many of you are currently selling your labor for profit? How many of you have a job is what I'm asking, right? Okay. How many of you sell your labor for profit to your parents? Yeah. Okay. You do chores and get, yeah, you're selling your labor. That's what you're doing. Because if you didn't do it, they'd have to, or they'd have to pay someone else to. Okay? The other resource that you all have is limited. You cannot get any more of it. It is incredibly possible to waste it.
Energy.
You're close.
Oxygen.
No.
Time.
Time. Time is actually a resource, and you can never get more of it than you have. But it is so easy to waste it. I'm looking at you, Fortnite. Right? Candy Crush. All right. So economics is the study of how society manages its scarce resources. So you use your labor supply to earn money. What do you do with that money?
Buy something.
Buy things. So economics is interested in how do you decide what to buy? How do you decide what to buy? Some of you didn't raise your hands saying you have a job. Those of you who have a job, how did you decide that you wanted a job? How did you decide what job to get? How did you decide how much to work? When you get your paycheck, Do you spend it all? Do you save some of it? Do you give some of it to charity? All of those things are economic decisions. How do businesses decide what they're going to make? Dylan started his own business. He actually runs a lawn care company. Pooper scoops on the side for an extra fee. He'll come and trim your lawn, weed your flower beds, mow the lawn, scoop the poop, dispose of it all for you. How did Dylan decide that's what his business was going to do? How did he graduate from lemonade stand and corner bake sale to lawn care business? Maybe he had an older brother who did the same thing. Maybe a neighbor did it and died and left Dylan with his lawnmower. And Dylan was like, wow, free lawnmower. I could use this to make money. And that's how he got into it. How did Ford decide to make cars? How did Rolls-Royce decide to make airplane engines? Why does GE make refrigerators? Right? How do they decide what to make? How do they decide how many employees they need? Where does Dylan go from being Dylan's lawn mowing one-man job to employing 6 of his fellow students and grossing $100,000 a year? Which would be virtually impossible to do with 6 kids and lawnmowers, but anyway. Bigger picture, how does society decide who gets what? How does society decide this much of the pie to national defense, and this much of the pie to preserving our clean drinking water, and this much of the pie to education, and this much of the pie to helping the disadvantaged? How does society decide that? And you're sitting there and you're thinking, that's a question for government. This is a ripoff. I signed up for economics. I got news for you. Economics is everywhere. You're taking chemistry, you're taking physics, economics was there. Take English, economics was there. All right. So, principle number 1, how do people make decisions? People make decisions because people face trade-offs. People face trade-offs. Every decision eventually comes down to an either-or. Grace, I'm going to pick on you for this. Grace went to her closet this morning. She opened that closet door. Grace has a massive walk-in closet, by the way, in this scenario. She opens that closet door and she steps into her grand closet and she looks around and there's only 2 shirts. Grace had this shirt or the identical shirt in black to choose from this morning. She had an either-or decision. Grace, how did you decide? The black one was covered in cat hair. The cat decided for her. It likes to sleep on the shelf right above where the black shirt hangs. It's the black shirt section of the closet. But I challenge you. Grace didn't have an either-or decision. Grace had a third option. Think outside the box here. What was Grace's third option? Grace actually had a fourth option. Sophie?
Buy a shirt.
No, Walmart was closed this morning. 24 hours ceased to exist.
Topless.
Grace could have come to school topless. Option number 3. Now we know that was probably not a viable option in Grace's mind because she does not value suspension on the second day of school. Nor would her mom or dad have been keen on seeing her walk out sans shirt this morning. But it was an actual option. Option 4, assuming that Grace doesn't sleep in the buff, would have been wear her jammies top. Okay? Good job thinking outside the box. Please erase that mental image from your heads. All right. But ultimately, even though she had all 4 of those options, she eliminated topless right away. She drools in her sleep, so she eliminated pajama top. It's so wet. It's gross. Okay? So it came down to black or pink, peach. Okay? So Grace had to decide between this or that at the end. If you think about your decisions this morning, your alarm went off. Raise your hand if you got out of bed immediately when your alarm went off. Excellent, Jared. Everyone else in here chose to snooze. That was your very first decision of the morning, guys. You made an economic choice. How many of you hit snooze more than once? Yep. That's another economic decision. How many of you took a shower this morning? Economic decision. Thank you very much. Economic decision. All right. So then, how many of you ate breakfast? Economic decision. For those of you who didn't eat breakfast, what did you choose instead? Starvation. Hunger. That gnawing pang that begins about 3rd hour and grows until you can't think about anything else. So maybe not. Maybe Dylan just regularly fasts. It's okay. Right? All of these were economic decisions. Did you walk to school? Did you drive? Did you bring a friend? Did you not? Did you swing through scooters or Starbucks on the way? All economic decisions. Every one of them has a trade-off. When you hit that snooze button, you were trading off 8 or 9 or 5 more minutes of sleep for what? More time to get ready, less rush, less anxiety, less stress. Time to eat breakfast instead of snoozing 8 times, right? Okay. Now remember, this is a college textbook. Go to a party the night before midterms is trading off a woo-woo good time for studying, which in the end might have meant that you traded off a party for an A, depending upon how good you are at whatever subject that is. I want more money to buy more stuff, which means I'm going to pick up more shifts at work. I'm going to pick up a second part-time job. So I have more money to buy more stuff. But what's the trade-off there? You have more money to buy more stuff, but now with 2 part-time jobs and all those shifts, you don't have any time to enjoy the more stuff. Think about that. Think about it all the time. I drive down the street, my neighborhood, there's a boat parked right beside their house. It's a beautiful boat. Has to have been $100,000. Okay, it's a river cruiser. Gorgeous. Guys out there washing it all the time. In the 3 years since it's been parked by that house, and I work almost every day of the week, okay, I have seen it leave that house twice, and never overnight. It's a river cabin cruiser. Like, this thing could go out on water for a week. Why do you suppose he goes out and washes it, but never takes it to a lake? Because he doesn't have time, because he's spending so much time working to go and pay for the boat. I know this, he's a friend of mine. I tease him about it all the time. Like, yeah, how is that? Our joke is a boat is a hole in the water into which you throw money. And it is a nagging issue with his wife as well. Because now the kids are big enough and they go out and help wash it. And they'll say things like, Daddy, when do we get it wet in the water? So, yeah, it's amusing. Think about these trade-offs. Okay? Now, we all want clean drinking water, but sometimes that means we have to put regulations in place to prevent the pollution of the drinking water. which makes the production of the other things that we want more expensive because the companies that produce the other things that we want have to pay to protect the environment because the government is requiring them to in order to protect the water that we want to drink. You follow this? Everything you do has a trade-off. Everything you want has a trade-off. How many of you are planning to go to college? What's the trade-off? Going straight to work. Great. I can have money now or I can have more money later, right? That's the point of college, isn't it? How many of you are going to college just solely for the pure intellectual delight of it all? No one? Crickets? Okay, fine. I get it. We're all mercenary. More money. You've been told this since you were in elementary school, right? Those with a bachelor's degree earn at least 25% more with the time in the library. You've heard all that. Okay. What will you emerge from college with unless you are an exceptional student here? Debt. Debt is, in fact, a four-letter word, boys and girls. Yeah. So then you will spend the first part of your working life paying for the fact that you were able to get a job to earn more money to pay for the fact that you were able to get a job to earn more money. Think about that circular logic, right? And then you may meet someone and fall madly in love, and you will face a decision. Do you get married or not? Well, yes, of course. Put a ring on it. So you're going to get married. Now you have a decision. Oh my gosh, yes, totally. A destination wedding on the beach in Jamaica. We're going to fly all our friends and family. Guess what that equals? More debt. Because I know you haven't saved enough money to pay for that destination wedding in Jamaica or outside the Colosseum in Rome or on the beach in Hawaii or whatever, because you're busy paying off your student loan that you had to get in order to be able to get the job to pay more money. Okay, so we'll borrow a little money for the wedding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Well, not statistically for at least half of you in here, but we'll go with that. Okay? Let's see, we're married. Where shall we live? Do we live in a van down by the river? Or do we rent an apartment? Or do we buy a used house? Or do we build a new house? How much can we borrow to build our house? More debt, right? Okay, so now we're paying off both of our educations, right? We're paying off our destination wedding. We're paying the house we live in. Oh my goodness, my car just broke down and it cannot be fixed. And I can't go without a car because I chose to buy a house 20 miles from where I work to earn the money to pay for the destination wedding, the house, and the student loans. So now I have to go get a car. Do I buy a brand new car or do I buy a used one? Trade-off, right? Either way, since you've already got all this other debt, I'm going to assume that you don't have enough money to pay for more than, the $500 junker that they're selling on the corner down the street from the house that you think may or may not be dealing drugs. I don't know if you're going to buy that one, but let's assume you go and buy a mid-range used car. Guess what you just acquired in addition to your car? More debt. But now you at least have a car to drive to the job to earn the money to pay for the debt for the things you've already acquired. Are you seeing a pattern here? Could all of this have been avoided? At least some of it could. I am in no way saying you shouldn't go to school. Definitely go to college. But think about what you're going to college for and what it will earn you, right? And think about the cost of that college education versus what its income is likely to be. And don't ever look at the high range of the income that they tell you. Oh, if you become a civil engineer, you could earn $60,000 to $180,000 a year. All right, I will be earning $180,000 a year as soon as I graduate. Dream on, right? 60, if you're lucky, probably less than that. Okay? Be real with yourselves economically, is what I'm encouraging you to do. We'll come back to more of this later. So trade-offs. The way society answers these questions is society has to ask, is it efficient or is it equal? And which do we want? Do we want it to be efficient or do we want it to be equal? It depends. Arbor says it depends. Emily, what does it depend on?
Because sometimes you're talking about like people like having jobs and like people who don't have a job like then get money from people who do have a job, so then the reward for actually having jobs isn't as much.
So is that efficient or equal?
Equal.
So the people who don't have jobs live a quality of life equal to those who do? No, but we're at least striving for some measure of equality, is what you're saying? Okay. So the alternative there would be efficiency. You work for what you get, you keep what you work for. Done. No government. Anarchy. Woo! Well, society decided a long time ago we weren't keen with anarchy, right? Even Genghis Khan established the war. The Romans built a system built on taxation and enslavement, but you know, Rome's pretty, so go Romans. Efficiency or equality? Bell's about to ring. I want you to look at the world around you between now and class tomorrow and think about the economic decisions that have been made and whether they were made with the goal of efficiency or equality. If you have siblings at home, think about the decisions you make and your parents make, and whether they're made with the idea of efficiency or equality. Have a day!
Yeah, well, did you mean like divide it like unequally, like the book notes are 2/3?
Yes.
So
Anyone interested in outdoor